The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope everyone has had a great holiday season and a good start to their new year, 2012. Hi, I'm Janet Baker, and on behalf of the Monticello Corporation, makers of Paper Tiger, we want to thank you for attending today's webinar. We want to wish, again, everyone a very happy and prosperous new year. For attending today's webinar, we will be entering you into our new contest ending March 31st to win an Apple iPad. We will be drawing for the contest that ended December 31st in the next couple of days, and we will be announcing that in our newsletter and on our website. If you have questions during the presentation today, there is a question section in the lower right corner of your screen where you can submit questions. Note there is a drop-down box for who you send your questions to, either to all attendees or to the presenters only. We will try our best to answer questions during the call today, but we will be posting the questions and answers on our blog under the webinar category, along with the webinar recording as soon as it is available. We are honored to have Ann McGurty with us today, who will be presenting the life cycle of file management and also a clean-out, a year-end clean-out system, which she has described to me, and also what she calls a reality webinar demonstrating how to index your items into Paper Tiger, working through her inbox, as well as answering questions that have been asked during your webinar registrations and throughout today's call. So you can submit those questions anytime during the call, and when we stop for a quick Q&A section, we'll pick those up. Because we know that there are different levels of Paper Tiger users on the call, we will be covering the basics for those that are new and then lean toward more advanced functions, and we'll try to cover as much as possible within the hour allotted. Of course, it is impossible to give every detail and address every workflow issue in a one-hour webinar. The custom details are what you need Ann's services for. Excuse me. Now let me tell you a little bit about Ann McGurty. She is CEO and founder of Strategize and Organize. Ann is a professional speaker, productivity and organizational coach, and author of the book Lost in Your Own Office, and a contributing author to two books, Speaking Your Truth, Courageous Stories from Inspiring Women, Volume 2, and later published this month, Concrete Jungle. Ann shows people how to work more effectively with less effort. Her entrepreneurial upbringing and corporate background mesh with her experience to get results for her clients. Ann's company, Strategize and Organize, improves productivity for individuals as well as organizations of all sizes and within all industries. And something we learned recently when conducting an interview with her, she guarantees results based on the agreement that you make with her before she begins work with you. You simply can't beat that, along with the special she is currently offering, which includes a 1-hour weekly one-on-one phone call, which is a total of 4 hours in the month, and unlimited email quick questions. This package is regularly $1,500 for a 3-month program, but for her special, it's only $297 in this 30-day coaching program. And Ann will assess your organization, create the right plan customized for the way you work, identify the right tools, and create a plan for maintenance. And if you sign up today, you will get a copy of both of the books that I've mentioned previously. Now, if you want to learn more about Ann and her services, please visit her website at www.strategizesandorganize.com. She may be in Colorado, but she's nationally recognized as an expert and works with people in person and virtually throughout the U.S. to customize a system to help make their lives more productive and organized. If you do not already have Paper Tiger, it's on sale at 20% off through today, and you can purchase from Ann's affiliate link, which I will copy into the chat section for you to pick up. And I will also be pasting her contact information into the chat section so you can pick that up anytime during the webinar today. since we provide these webinars to you for free, this will help offset her time. Anne, thank you so much for your time and dedication to teaching others how to use Paper Tiger more effectively and productively. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Janet. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I appreciate all you do in facilitating these webinars. For everyone out there, if it wasn't for Janet, I may not be very good at marketing these webinars, so it's all her efforts that make these a success that you know about them. I'm an organizer and a consultant to productivity. Marketing is not necessarily my forte. So thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Janet. So Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone, and I appreciate you taking the time for showing up for this webinar and making the effort today to do something different. And by your showing up today, it shows a commitment that you want to take action and get organized. Statistics say that one of the top New Year's resolutions is, I want to get organized. So much so that it is even declared that January is National Get Organized Month. You'll see in office supply stores and organization stores that they advertise a lot about getting organized in January. And it is really a good time because it is a fresh start. Every new year we look at what people assess what their last year was like and what they want to do differently. Well, have you thought about your New Year's resolutions? Well, if one of them's getting organized, let the Paper Tiger assist you in getting organized. Well, based on our surveys, actually this is a survey by, oh darn, I'm blanking it out, Gartner Research. The average executive spends 6 weeks per year retrieving or replacing misplaced documents. So whether you're an executive or a stay-at-home mom or a business owner working out of your home or in an office, this statistic is true that you're spending 6 weeks per year looking for information. And I did a little chart here because I wanted to give you an example of what that could look like for a very small business where you have an executive, and I just pulled some random numbers. So we have an executive who is making $120,000 a year. They may have a director who's making about $75,000. We have a manager who's making about $45,000, $50,000 a year. And we have a couple different level admins, one about $38,000 and one about $24,000. So if you were to look at each of them spending 6 weeks per year looking for misplaced information, the average that company would be losing is about $36,000 a year. Now, if you think about that, $36,000 a year for just 1 year for this small office, you can imagine what that would look like over several years. So the amount of money that is wasted and time for anybody in an office environment is really extreme enough that it's worth the simple investment of your time and money to get started with the Paper Tiger. And if that means hiring someone to help you, even for just a couple of days, because it really doesn't take that long to set up this system, then you will save tremendous amounts of money going forward. So,
hey, Anne.
Yes?
I have a comment in the question section that says that she can't see your slides, and I'm not seeing your slides either. I'm only seeing the simply an effective organize your files with Anne McGurty and Paper Tiger icons at the bottom.
Can you see that now?
I see that screen now, yeah, but I didn't see the statistics at all.
Can you see it now?
No.
Darn. Oh.
Can you? Yeah, can you maybe switch between your tabs at the bottom between Chrome and your PowerPoint and see if it changes?
Oh, for Pete's sake. Darn. Does that help at all? I got an idea.
Mm-mm.
You're seeing Paper Tiger now, right?
I'm only seeing that simply and effectively organize your files.
Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop that. Do you see my screen now as Paper Tiger?
No.
Oh, for darn.
We don't see your cursor moving either.
What do you see right now?
Just simply and effectively organize your files with your icon and Paper Tiger's icon at the bottom of the screen. Actually, we see the your screen that is stuck at 10:51 a.m. Can you refresh your browser or anything like that to see if that
Absolutely.
makes a difference?
Okay, how's that?
Not seeing anything. Okay, let me change presenters and then back to you and see if that makes a difference.
Okay, let's be patient. Thank you for being patient, everyone.
Now I don't see you on the
darn.
list.
You are no longer the presenter.
Okay, hold on just a second.
I see your screen. Okay, can you see my screen now? Paper Tiger?
Yep, there it comes. It came back up now. Okay.
All right.
Move forward.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay. Sorry about that. As you can see, we all have technical difficulties from time to time. All right, so based on that, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to show you the slideshow because I don't want to jeopardize going back and forth and having you really, I think it's more important that you see the application of Paper Tiger than it is to see my slideshow. But so I will go through. If you want a copy of that slide, feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to send that to you. And also, yeah, that's the best way to do it. Okay, so going forward, as I said, the average executive spends 6 weeks per year, and if you're an individual think of how much you're making. If you make $5,000 a month, then you're losing $7,500 a year, wasting time and money looking for papers and information. So the cost of the Paper Tiger, which is very minimal, and even the possibility of hiring someone like me to help you get it implemented is minimal considering that 6-week term. So going forward, the questions that I have from people today for today's webinar is that it seems like we have quite a few beginner users or people that may have the Paper Tiger, but for some reason or another, whether it's health issues or they just never got started, or whatever your reasons are, they're not using it. And I'd like to keep this as simple as possible and say, what do you do to get started? Well, first, you obviously purchase the product and you download it. And when you go to download the Paper Tiger, you will be given a login screen, which is online, like the one we have here. Now, we are giving you this demo today on the online version of the Paper Tiger. For years, we had a desktop version, which was an installed version from a desk. It stayed on your desktop, or could have been downloaded, and it stayed on your desktop. So if you were not at the computer where you downloaded the software, you could not use the Paper Tiger. So today, with the Paper Tiger Online, you can access your Paper Tiger account anywhere. And find out where your files are or set up your files or information. Now, why that's handy is you might have an office upstairs in your house. You may have one downstairs. You might have some reference files, or you may have another set of files at your office. You can log in anywhere with the Paper Tiger online and access all your files. So once you have your Paper Tiger set up, you will log in with what is your login email, and you will have a password. And you can go ahead and sign in when you have that information. Now we're going to use my reality of my Paper Tiger account, and there's a lot in here because I use it professionally, and I also use it for a lot of demos. Now yours is going to look pretty simple like this, where it's going to be customized to your company name and your personal information. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is create a database. Now, how do you define a database? A database is your infrastructure. It's your business. It is what you want to consider your files. Now, it might be Joe's home office, or it might be, in my case, the name of my company, Strategize and Organize Files. So let's use the example today that I have a school teacher who said she might be on the call today. So it might be Pam's Home Files. So that's the name of it. You create a new database, and I don't know if the name is Pam, but that's what I made up. And you'll see within the Paper Tiger that now we have a database called Pam's Home Files. Now, once you've set up this database for her files, what we're going to do is we're going to set up what we call locations. Now, there's been a lot of questions over the years of what a location is. And the best way I could describe it is a location is the physical place where you want to store your items. And when you think about the physical place for that item or those files, you want to think of the functionality of that space. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create our first location. And this drop down is immaterial here. The location name we're going to use might be, for instance, actually I'm going to go with the word reference, because that seems to be a word that people use a lot. And they think all their files are reference files. So let's go ahead and say reference, and we'll say that these are the files. These are files in Pam's office in 4-drawer lateral file. So if you can picture that you've got a large file cabinet in your office, and these are where all your files are. And there might be room for 200 files in there, so you put the capacity of 200 in here. At this time, I'm not going to go over a review frequency, although we might address this a little bit later here. We're going to go ahead and add this location. So now, when you look at what you have in that file drawer, you might think, okay, I have room to input 200 files. The thing that holds people up when they're setting up their file drawers is, first of all, they don't consider how much room they have, and also they don't have the supplies set up in order to just put information into that file. So with the Paper Tiger, once you set up the locations, what you do is you use Avery file folder labels, and you print up labels for that specific location drawer. Once you have that set up, the Paper Tiger will generate tabs, which are stickers that the Avery file folders use for that location. Now you can see here my font's a little too big. So whatever word that you use on the name of the file folder, the location is what will be listed on the little sticker. So you will have labels that say reference, and then there's a chronological order to the paper tiger. So you will have the labels for the reference files 1 through 200 on these sheets. As you'll see, I've got several sheets with all these numbers on it. So once you have the file tabs printed, then you peel those stickers off and use Pendaflex hanging file folders, which are typically those army green folders that have hanging wires with slots on the top to put in little plastic tabs with the label names on it. So you put these labels on the supplied white cardboard index tabs into the plastic tabs, and you'll have your drawer set up for all your reference files. So now we're going to go back, and we've got our reference file, and now if we've set up all those file tabs, your drawer is now prepared to start putting paper in those drawers. So when you go through your desk now, you might pick up a piece of paper, and I'm going to pick up a piece of paper on my desk. And I've only set up one location. So here is someone, I went to an event, and I have a sheet here of some songs that were played at a conference. And I printed out the list of all the songs that when I go to an iTunes account, I want to download these songs. Well, these are not necessarily reference files. This is really a project. It's a to-do. So I need another location for my projects, my action folders. So we're going to go ahead and set up a new location, and we're going to call it Action. And when you think about your action file drawer, the location, you want this to be the most convenient drawer to you in your workstation. So if you're right-handed, you ideally would like this on your right-hand drawer, left-handed drawer. You want these close to you because these are the files that you are going to refer to most often. So we're going to say these are the right-hand drawer of Pam's desk. And action files, we want to think of what's active. Most people that I've worked with over the last few years has spent either 20 to 30 files. So the capacity of that drawer might be 20. We're going to go ahead and add this location, and as I mentioned, you're going to then want to go and print the tabs and labels for that drawer, and now you've got a couple of options. So you're going to choose the action drawer and use the Avery file folder again and generate the tabs for that drawer. You will then go ahead and, just as I said with the reference, use these stickers and set up that file drawer. Okay, so now you've got two very nice drawers available of empty folders to put your paperwork in. Now, if you already have, okay, I have, for instance, now this iTunes list. So what we're going to do is I ask yourself the question, is this an actionable item, or is this something that I want to just refer to, and I really don't plan on taking any action? Well, since I plan on taking action, I am going to open up the location of action, and I am going to input a new file. And we can either do it through the highlight here or add it over here. I'm going to choose this highlight cursor here and add the item number, item name of what would typically be the name of a file. And let's call it Song List. And, you know, 3 months from now, when I'm ready to actually do this, or some Saturday when I feel like just downloading all these songs, I may not remember exactly what that was called, the name of that file. So we might want to put in iTunes or playlist or call it the Phoenix Conference. Any other words that you might want to recall if you can't remember the specific name of the file that you named it. That is what is one of the most unique parts of the paper tiger, is that you do not have to remember what you name a file, because the keywords will help you recall it later no matter what you name the file. Okay, so the next sheet of paper I have is a statement here from my insurance company. And it's just giving me some, it's not a statement, it's a statement and a confirmation of what my policy looks like. So that is really more a reference file. So what we want to do is we either can go to the location here, or we can jump to a location and just go to reference, and we can add a new file and call it Allstate. And I'll put in the keywords that this is my policy, and it's a statement for January 2012. And there is an option for a category, and if you're a much more complex filing system, we can go into category. And I'll save that for a consultative opportunity, because categories may be a little bit confusing for some people. If you noticed, I misspelled January, and the Paper Tiger gives you a spell check option that you can go ahead and fix it. Now we're going to add that to reference 1. So now I've gone through 2 pieces of paper that were on my desk, and you can see that it's pretty quick and easy, that all I did was go through 1-2 pieces of paper. What I encourage people to do is to look at this as a very focused project, to look at the pieces of paper that are on your desk immediately. After all, that is what's making you feel disorganized anyway, and you want to get that into your organized file system through the Paper Tiger as quickly as possible. Now, once you set that all up, then what you can do is run a report at the end of the day and see everything that you have filed in your action drawer. And you'll have a list of everything that you put into that drawer. And obviously, I only have 1 item. This is where it's helpful for people that say out of sight, out of mind. It can be really scary. So having the item list report will help you have control of the visual of where you put things. And then you can go ahead and print it, and then you're ready to go. Now, when we started the introduction to this webinar today, I told Janet that what I'd like to talk about is for those people who may have started using the Paper Tiger in the past, where I have a couple people who said they've used it, but for some reason they've stopped using it and they need to pick up the pieces again. Okay, well, for those people and for people who are still using it actively, I'm going to give you an idea of what to do for the beginning of the year. I am going to go through and I am going to use the Paper Tiger webinar, this database, because I've got a lot of information in this files. And at the end of the year, or when you're starting to clean up your files because maybe they've gotten a little bit behind, is you can create a report called the File Cleanout Report. And in the File Cleanout Report, what it does is it gives you a complete inventory of everything that you have ever indexed into the Paper Tiger. So as you can see, my action drawer has 3 items in it. There's 9 in the reference, and we have 1 file in archive, And I even set up a location for CDs. I even have a storage box where we've put in we've documented stuff through with the paper tiger. When you have a file clean out report that we have here, what you can do is print out this report, and without having to knuckle through every single file, you actually can just review this report and know what is still viable for you to keep in that drawer. And you can see, okay, action number 2 is a mastermind meeting file, and you can decide whether you want to review it and see what was in there. You can decide to toss it at this time, or you can transfer it to another location, or do nothing and leave it as it is. Once you've gone through this report and made all these decisions, what you can do is you will go back to your database and start to browse. And that file regarding Mastermind, you're going to search for it, and it was in your action file drawer, and you may have decided that you may want to trash it. And there's a little icon here where you can say, I'd like to toss this item. So that means you're done with this file, you don't ever want to reference it again, and you literally want to throw it out. So the paper tiger will remind you, and you can just hit toss, and it'll go away. Now when you hit toss, you'll see that it has a status of pending deletion. So when you still go to look for the word mastermind, you'll find it because you haven't moved it physically anywhere and you haven't confirmed it on the paper tiger. The way to get it out of that pending status is to go to the confirm page, and you'll see I've got something else that was pending. And what you're going to do is you can hit a check the indicate in the box here that you definitely want to cancel, you confirm it, or you can choose to cancel tossing it at this time. So I'm going to cancel tossing it at this time. Are you sure you want to cancel these confirmations? Yes. So when I go to type in mastermind again, it'll show that it's still in the action file drawer. Okay, the reason I left that open is I want to show you that you also can choose that item and say, I'm done with that mastermind meeting, and although I have lots of great notes from that meeting, I want to keep them and I want to move them into a new location. I want to now move them out of my action drawer, which by the way, since it's in the right-hand drawer of your desk, or the closest drawer, it's taking up valuable real estate if you're not referring to it often. And it might be a little overwhelming to have too much information in that drawer if you're really not using it. So you want to move it either to, let's say for instance, you're going to move it to your reference drawer. So we're going to go ahead and move this item. And as you can see, it does the same thing here, that there's a transfer out pending. So I'm going to go to the confirm area. I'm going to confirm that I want to go ahead and transfer it. So we're going to confirm it. And then when I type in mastermind again, you will see it doesn't come up as an action item, it's in the reference file drawer. And now the first number available in that drawer was number 1, so you've taken in all the contents of your action file and now put it in your pre-set up file folder for reference number 1. And there you have your organized file. So that's how you would work with what you have existing and how to clean up files that you have. I'm looking at some of the questions that I have, and someone said that they have a huge paper clutter issues, and they're tired of hunting for important pieces of paper. So setting up your system as simple as possible will really alleviate any frustration that you have. The keys that I've mentioned here that are most critical is keeping it simple by setting up just two basic locations, action files and reference files, and using that as your basic structure for then adding all of your files. I'm going to go back to where I started in my reference, and let's continue with other files. So as you're going through your pile, I'm in Strategize and Organize. I'm going to add that. Only because I have some confidential stuff in there, and I don't really want to broadcast it all the time. So as you're going through your desk, the next piece of paper that you might come across is a very common one is you might have now some tax information for 2011. So what really is that reference or is that action? So we're going to jump back to the location of action, and we're going to create a new file for taxes 2011. And keywords will be that this is I had a Goodwill donation receipt that I dropped off on the last day of the year. So we want to add this to action 1. And now you know that when I'm looking for that Goodwill donation receipt, or when I'm ready to pull my taxes, that all those new 1099s that you get, all those interest statements that you received and final bank statements, you can start adding those into your action drawer number 1. As you can see, I had a couple of other items in the action drawer, and the paper tiger picked the file that was empty for the next available place to put a file. So you don't have to think about where you put the file, because the paper tiger will think for you. Okay, I just want to stop for a second. Do we have any questions that might be coming in?
One question is, what paper tiger do you recommend for home use only?
That's a good question. If you find that you only need 2 locations, then you can get the basic, which means that you have only 2 locations. Now, I hesitate on recommending the basic because in addition to action and reference, people will often have a 3rd location called archive, or they get so excited about the paper tiger that they realize that they can index things more than paper, so they're going to want additional locations. So the professional version is what I would recommend if you have any complexity more than action and reference files.
Okay. Another question is, in your example of adding the file taxes 2011, Donna is asking, does this mean that you have to look up the file number every time as you are filing? Without that, it doesn't seem like you would know which file to use.
And that's a good question, and that's something that people often hesitate about. And that's why I say go to the reports area. After you've indexed everything in your paper tiger system, what I recommend that you do is do an item list report. And I'm going to back up here a second. What I recommend is you go to each location separately. So on the action drawer, we're going to just take that location, and I might recommend that you sort it by item name, so alphabetically, and then you generate an item list report. And in the item list report, you will have an alphabetical listing of everything that is in that location. So I recommend that you put in the very first part of each drawer a empty Pendaflex with just the item list in it. So if you don't have your computer open, all you have to do is open the drawer and look at the first hanging file folder and look at this action item list to see where taxes 2011 is. So that eliminates needing to open up your computer every time, and you still have the ease of an alphabetical filing system in your drawer. But you will know that you're directed to the item number 1. Now, why this is especially helpful, I'm going to back up here too. Thank you, Donna, for that question, because people say sometimes that they don't understand the numbering system. Well, let's picture this. I've often walked into an office and it's beautifully organized. And I remember one radio station I worked with years ago, and I worked with the business development office. So they had several file cabinets of all their advertisers. And as you can imagine, in a radio station, they've got lots of advertisers. And it was alphabetical, A to Z. So if they had a location that was, we're going to add a new one, and in that location, it was advertisers. And the description was list of customers for advertising. And they had 100. So we went ahead and, say in a normal system, they would just have a drawer that might say, the first one might be, we have Acme products. So you go ahead, and what we did is we went through the alphabetical listing of everything that's in their drawers. We had Acme, we had Annex products. I'm making this up. That's advertiser 2. Then we had B, we had Barney's Barking Center. I don't know, I'm thinking of a dog lot. We have C, we have Center for Children, so playground. And then we said, okay, so now their drawer is, they've got 4 really big files in their top drawer, because Acme Products has been with them for a while. The Center for Children's been there for a while. So their drawer is stuffed. And what happens is they get a new advertiser. And their new advertiser is Apple Products. So now we've got Apple Products that you can just put into the next number instead of trying to squeeze it into the drawer between Annex and Barney's. So the paper tiger will find the next available spot without you having to take a full drawer and put in a brand new file and make everything so tight that you can't access any files. And oftentimes people have put their filing aside because when they wanted to put in all the new files and they knew they had new file names, it would need that they logistically had to change everything to keep it in that alphabetical order. And that is why a lot of people get very frustrated. So again, it doesn't need to be in alphabetical order. You can just use the next available number to keep things simple and indexed within the system. Does that, Jenna, I know we've had a lot of questions about the indexing. Does anybody else have any questions about using the numbering system versus using alphabetical listing? That's always a good question. And if that didn't answer it for everyone, feel free to put something in the chat section for me to address that.
I don't see any other questions right this minute except for that is relating to the indexing, except Y'all wants to know, or this is what they say: I have huge piles, huge as in capital letters, okay?
Okay.
How to approach the daunting task in a measured time allocation way without spending days at it.
Okay. I'm curious to what you consider huge, because some people say huge, and for me as a consultant, I look at it and it's really not as daunting. I want you to think about one thing: is when you're looking at this project, is to be in the zone, and I don't know what other word to use, but get your head in a zone or a space of saying, I'm going to attack this and not be emotional about anything that I'm looking at. I'm not going to react to anything. I am not going to beat myself up that it's still sitting there. You're just going to take each piece of paper as something that needs to be inventoried into this system. And okay, that being said, it sounds intellectually easy. And I do say it's kind of like the expression, how do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time. And you take it very small and take small chunks and start putting it into your system. Keep it simple by setting up only the 2 locations to start. And what you might do is, what I do with my clients is I go to the supply store and I buy those bankers file boxes. And I create a banker's box for action folders and a banker's box for reference. And I sit on the floor, or we get on a table, and what we do is we decide if we separate the pile, action or reference, and just make that decision in one stack at a time. So set aside action files and reference files. And then once you've spent maybe a half an hour or 45 minutes separating it, then go back and create an action. Go to your action file drawer, go to your location of action, and then what you do is start taking each of those pieces of paper that related to action, and since you set up the 20 folders, all you have to do now is say, okay, here's that new piece of paper, which is bank statement question. And you just put in the keyword, Chase Bank, or whatever it was that you wanted relative to that piece of paper. And very, very quickly start going through each piece of paper that you come across in those files that you separated. Now, as I said, you may want to take it as small chunks at a time if it's just you, or you may want to bring in someone else that doesn't even know much about your business and just have them help you go through the pile and get it done quickly, and someone who will coach you to make quick decisions about what's in those pieces of paper. And this is where I work with clients, because I don't let them get distracted, and I often do it over the phone, and they just tell me what a piece of paper is, we make up a quick name, and then we go through the piles of paper. I tell people that the average office that is a major mess, and I can show you some pictures if you would like some pictures, or if you want to send me a picture of your office, I can give you a pretty good estimate of how quickly we can get through it. But most clients, we can go through it in a day, and literally a day. So in a couple of days, you will have a completely new lease on life, because you will be able to find everything that was scattered about your desk before. I will take exception and say that some people have piles of paper on their floor, behind them, and some people have things from 10 years ago on their desk. And some of those people, it might take another day. So I know that my experience is soliciting a partner to help you through this will make it go a lot easier. But if you can't do that, then I recommend that you just take a half an hour or an hour every couple of days and just start entering things into your system.
So basically just take a pile at a time. For instance, for y'all has 10 piles about a foot high each. So she'd just start with pile 1, go through that pile. Yeah, go through that pile in, you know, maybe an hour, maybe not even that long, depending on what she has to read to figure out what it is. And then index that pile, and then the next day take up the next pile and go from there. And, you know, in 10 business days, she'd have it done. Or take a whole day, like you said, and rip through all of the piles, just an hour at a time, take a break, and just take it little by little. Like you said, take a bite out of the elephant at a time and then go from there.
Right, right. I worked with somebody about a week ago. Actually, she was on our webinar here, and she called me, and coincidentally, she was here in Denver, and said that, you know, she is an assistant, and she wants her assistant to learn how to use the paper tiger because she has all these piles and she doesn't have time to do the paper tiger herself. So I went out and trained her assistant. I think I was there 3 hours. I was there with her assistant for 3 hours, and now they're up and running and they're managing their paper tiger system on their own. So sometimes just a brief consultation will help you get focused on what the correct infrastructure of locations are for you, and just give you a little coaching on those questions that come up, because we do sometimes feel that our situation is unique, and it may very well be. So I can help you answer those questions so you don't get overwhelmed at any point in the process.
Right, and let me just let you know, Anne, that because of your response, I'm not sure it's for y'all as a man or a woman, but in any case, she said, "This is great, making me feel there is light at the end of the tunnel." So that's great.
There absolutely.
Also, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There absolutely is light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Donna wants to know, can you put more than one thing in a file? For instance, if you want to put all the bank statements in the same file.
Absolutely. And Donna, thank you for that question, because I saw somebody one day, it was about 1.5 years ago, and he was so proud of his paper tiger system, but he had hundreds of file folders. And what he did is he created a file folder for every single piece of paper. And I'm like, Lord, that poor guy. So what I recommend is when you say that you've got bank statements, I'm going to assume that they're going to go into your reference file. And I'm going to type in the word bank because I might have something already set up with it. And I do. Actually, I have something in action, so that may not be the place where I want to put a bank statement. So what I want to do is I want to create a new file in my reference. Let's go down to reference. You create a file for reference, and okay, you're setting up your system, so you're a little behind. So you're going to set up a file for Bank of USA, and we're going to say that I have a statement here, the statement for October 2011. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to take that statement and you're going to go ahead and put it into your reference, and now it goes into reference number 10. So you put that piece of paper in there. Maybe you're one of these people that you keep copies of, like maybe you'll receive like an overdraft notice. Okay, sorry. So you'll go to your bank file, and is it a question or is it something that's reference? Well, it's something that goes to reference. So we're going to edit it, and we're going to add there overdraft notices. So you know that anything related to overdraft notices will be in there because that's where the reference file is. Now say, for instance, though, you have a line of credit. Well, I've got nothing right now on lines of credit. So let's go into my bank, and you're going to edit that file and add the note, of line of credit account, and also note that it's the savings account and it's also the checking account. So you've got 3 accounts at that bank. Now, you can put all of these pieces of paper into that Pendaflex. And what I do recommend, though, is that you take individual manila folders, for one for the statements for the savings account, one for the checking account, and one for the line of credit. And you can do it in the overdraft notices, etc., might go into the appropriate account. If it gets to the point, though, that it's too difficult to access that folder, that file folder, and box bottom files, those thicker ones at the bottom, is just not necessary, you can create a new file. And so let's take, for instance, we're going to create a new file in reference. And you might say the new file name is Bank of USA line of credit. And now what you do is you would take out anything relative to line of credit, cut that out, save it, edit it, and then paste those words into that file. And now when you go to look for that file, you'll see that you've now created a new file that goes into reference 11. So you can create as many different files as possible, or you can stack in a lot of into one file. I'm going to type in Bank of USA, because the next time you get a piece of paper for Bank of USA, now you can decide, is it relative to the line of credit, or is it relative to all this other information? I hope that helps you answer that question.
Yes, a follow-up question is, if you have 20 different items in Pendaflex number 1, is there a way to note where each one is?
Not really. You know,
yeah, unless you number your manila folders or something like that, and then put 1 before your keywords for the manila folder number 1, and then 2 before you put the keywords for manila number 2, and so forth.
You know, as I just said, that you're right, is you can either make a decision that actually that was a really good question, and I was too quick to say no. What you can do is, here are the things, and say this is the order. So what you can do now is, now you come across another statement, and it's statement for December 2011, and put that piece of paper at the front of the file, so your keywords are in the order of where you put it into the file. So that might be a way of handling that. Gosh, I just looked at the time. It is noon my time in Colorado. So this is, as Janet said, we can't possibly go through everything there is to learn about using the paper tiger. So what I am going to say, though, is that, you know, if you have the paper tiger and are overwhelmed on where to get started, naturally it makes sense to solicit some help. And I am here to help you, either through these webinars to give you quick tips, or I am available to be a coach for you now by signing up for my coaching program. If you also know anybody who could use this, refer them to our webinar so you can teach your friends to understand how to get organized as well, because they'll experience the freedom that you'll eventually get to with this as well. I hope this makes sense to everyone, and if you do have any quick questions, please email Janet, she's providing my contact information. And for those of you that really want to get started now and want some help, I'd love to help you. And if you don't have the Paper Tiger yet, Janet will also provide the link on how to purchase it from my affiliate link here today. Janet, do you want to just close us out here?
Yes, Anne, thank you so much. That was a great job. We appreciate the time and your helpful tips. I believe that based on the questions and the responses that we're getting from the answers, I'm sorry, hold on one second. I'm just going to mute Anne because I'm getting a feedback. Based on the responses that we got from the questions and answers, we really had, you know, it was really helpful is what I'm trying to say. Okay, now I'm pasting Anne's contact information into the chat section, so if you'll watch the chat section in your webinar control panel, you'll see her email already. Then next I'm pasting her phone contact information and her web address. And the next thing that I'm pasting in is her affiliate link. If you do not already have Paper Tiger, please purchase from Anne today. Okay, you should have that all in the chat section. And contact Anne as soon as possible to take her up on her special that she's offering for a limited time. If you're ready to get organized and have Anne help you create a system customized just for you, call or email her to get on her schedule. Again, you can contact her at amcgurty@strategizeandorganize.com or phone at 303-881-0174. Her website address again is www.strategizeandorganize.com, and you'll be working more productive in no time. We want to thank you again for attending today's webinar, and again, we do plan to post the recording on our website so you can refer back to it whenever you need to. Please feel free to give us your feedback by emailing us here at the Paper Tiger at sales@thepapertiger.com. That's SALES at thepapertiger.com. Let's see. Anne, did you want to add anything else?
No, Janet, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for taking your time out to be with us today. And I hope you are ready to take action now and focus on getting organized.
Awesome. Thanks again, Anne. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye for now.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.